Well, I came to work with dendritic cells purely through circumstance. I was interested in cells, I knew that, and I don't know why. That's always been the level at which my interest is, and it's like a favorite color. That's just how it is. Some people like molecules, some people like proteins, but I've always liked the living cell. I think I take great pleasure in just watching them. You know, you can put them under the microscope and see what's going on, and I like that ability. I like the direct data of being able to visualize them myself. But as I mentioned, I came to work in the laboratory of Dr. Zanville Cohen under Dr. Ralph Steinman, which was a laboratory that worked on macrophages, which are a cell that's related to dendritic cells. And Ralph had just discovered dendritic cells. And so I learned how to make them. It was the beginning of the AIDS epidemic. And Ralph and his colleague, Melissa Pope, had demonstrated that dendritic cells, particularly when mixed with T-cell lymphocytes, were the most fertile field for the replication of HIV, the virus that causes AIDS. And it was very controversial work because it had been demonstrated in vitro or in the test tube, and nobody had been able to demonstrate it in a person. And one of the problems with any AIDS research, and frankly, as we discuss vaccines is a problem with vaccines, is there's no good animal model. So you couldn't really demonstrate it in an animal, but that didn't mean much because it was a different disease. So with colleagues, there was a collection of tissues that had been assembled for diagnostic purposes in which I was able to show that there were dendritic cell, T-cell syncytia, or where the cells got together, and there was abundant, tremendously abundant HIV replication. And this was in 12 people. And so that was an important discovery that was important because of how it fit with Ralph's bigger work. And that led to a publication in Science, which was, for the record, my only first author publication in Science, but was a very big deal. And that really changed my career, because at the time I was working at the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology, the work came to the attention of the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. And people were beginning to be interested in dendritic cells. And because I had the ability to work with them, and they're very hard to work with, because as I said, they're hen's teeth rare and they like to die. They're post-mitotic, which means they don't divide. So anything you do to them just makes them die. And because I had this association with Ralph, they asked for me to come and work at the Walter Reed on dendritic cells and HIV, because people were beginning to realize that it was important both in HIV pathogenesis and would subsequently come to realize that it was important in HIV vaccine design. So the Division of Retrovirology at the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research is charged with developing a vaccine to prevent HIV.